What's up, guys? Let's talk about when you wake up. And that can mean many things for different people, right? Like, what does it mean to you? Well, I think we're all connected, right? Like, I had a Kundalini experience, and that was my awakening, right? Like, I realized that, first of all, this is a body driven by my mind, right? My soul, my whatever. And the realization that this is just temporary, that we are infinite beings, right? And the thing is that life, you have, if these things happen to you, you have to understand that life is like a game. And you gotta understand that in this game is ruled by power and money. Now, not all of us can have power, but certainly most of us can have money, especially if you live in a first world like the United States, like United Kingdom, Europe, whatever, Canada, right? You have the possibility of actually making money, even if you're just a plebe, right? Uh, how are you gonna make that happen, right? Like, because now you're awake, so now you see this life as a game. Everything's not real and is real at the same time, right? Uh, you know that nobody's coming to save you, that you have to save yourself. So how do you start? What do you do, right? For me, crypto was my savior, bro. I was going crazy. I was thinking about gold. I came to the realization that if I managed to save $200,000, which I look in 2021, I had $100,000 portfolio in crypto, right? And that was a lucky shot. I'll probably never have that money again, but who knows? I'll keep trying. But before that, before crypto, uh, I realized in 2015, I realized that in order for me to be free, financially free, I had to invest $200,000 into something like the S&P 500, which is impossible because at that time they wouldn't allow small portfolios. I remember asking somebody that had worked at IBM. He was my partner. I used to do security, and to me, $2,000 was a lot of money, right? Because I was making $8 an hour, and I had saved up $2,000. To me, that was a lot of money. But to this retired guy who was just doing a part-time security job, just driving around a golf cart, this guy, he made fun of me, right? He made fun of me. I said, bro, I got $2,000. I want to invest this money. I want to start investing. He made fun of me. I'll never forget it. He was a very nice guy. He wasn't making fun of me in a way, in a degrading way. He was just, to him it was funny, right? Because $2,000 is nothing for him, you know. I realized that I couldn't do that, so crypto came and saved me basically, and that's what I do nowadays. But you know, when I woke up and realized that everything is fake in this world, and basically, what do you do, right? Because I mean, suicide was in the list, but I was too much of a pussy to do suicide, right? So I'm like, okay, what else I can do? I got my family, I got my mom. I don't want to do this, it'll traumatize her, right? Like it was messed up everybody around me's life. So suicide is not an option, right? But I'm suffering. What am I gonna do? And how do I start? And saving money is always a start. And now through crypto, it's so easily to invest. But you gotta know what to do and how to do it, right? But Bitcoin is like the safest thing you can do. If Bitcoin is a problem because you don't generate interest, so what's the next step? Okay, now you got Ethereum. Ethereum, you can generate 2 or 3% a year. That's better, right? Because now you're looking at passive income. But then you go down to like Solana, right? Now Solana pays, I think it's 4% a year, but my Atomic Wallet says 7%, so I don't even know. But now you're making 5% a year with some cryptos, and that's even better. Some cryptos do 10%. Like I think Injective does like 7%. I know Atom does I'm doing a compounding of 20% APY. But that $1,500 portfolio is now worth $600. So you gotta, it's high risk, high return rate. So like it's crazy like that. But I think it's once you like start like thinking about investing, that's when you come to the realization that this world runs with money, and that's it. All comes down to that, right? The world runs with money, and so you have to get money. If you don't have money, you're not free, because you cannot go anywhere, and you cannot help a lot of people. That's the truth. There's a mosquito following me. So if you don't have money, you cannot help yourself, and therefore, definitely, therefore, you cannot help other people. You cannot go to certain places if you don't have money, and there's so many things that comes down to money. Money is what makes this reality a thing, right? Like, if you want to be happy, you have to have money. Somebody who says otherwise is a fool and has never had money. When you have money, look, when I had $100,000 portfolio, I bought me a nice truck, I bought me a nice camper, I bought me a nice computer. I traveled to El Salvador 2 times. I went abroad. I live in the United States. I went 2 times to El Salvador. um, you know, I was doing things that I wanted to do. I was traveling. I went to Florida multiple times. I went to New York. I mean, I was moving. I was making money. And now that I don't have that portfolio, that my portfolio is so small now, because although I took profits, I took half of that $100,000. Half of that I took it off the table, and I left the rest there. The rest, the other $50,000 that are left in that portfolio, they went to shit, right? So, moral of the story is, once you wake up, what do you do, right? Because when I woke up, I went crazy, right? Like, I was shaking. One of these days I'm gonna tell you how it happened, right? But you know, I'm just giving you guys a perspective of how I got to Bitcoin. But I think it's thanks to Kundalini that I stopped being caring for the nice Jordans. I really don't care about clothes. Look, this shirt right here, my girlfriend gave it to me. I did not buy it. I don't even know what brand this is. I have no fucking idea. Do I care? The fuck no. I do not give a fuck about clothes, materialistic things. Really, I dream of not having a car. I just did a post on Snappy about that. I dream of not having a fucking car, so I don't have to deal with the bureaucracy that comes with it. The fucking cops, right? Like, all these fucking police officers, they think that they're the law, right? And they'll just start you out of your money for whatever reason. Going 2 miles over the limit. I mean, these people are fucking tyrants, bro. And it feels sometimes that the world's going to shit. That the world's, like the genocide in Palestine, right? These people committing genocide in Palestine. It looks very bad, but actually it's not. I think the world's becoming a better place, and these are just curtains that are falling, and people are able to see the wall behind the curtains, right? And this wall has bricks, right? Like, the United States, we now know, right? And it's publicly known now that the United States is run by a different type of people than what we see on TV, right? What we see on TV, like Donald Trump and Obama and whatever, those are just puppets. And there's this group of people, specifically this tiny group of people with tiny hats, that run the US government and pretty much everything else in the world. Larry Fink from BlackRock, right? That guy runs trillions of dollars in different, from all these other companies that they control, that controls us eventually, right? And they control the politicians, and they control us through those people. And so all this knowledge is known now, right? But the thing is, what do you do with all this information, right? Because just learning about all these things, it drives you crazy and you can go nuts. But the thing is, how does this information improve your life? And I think is that to realize that the world runs with money, and how can you get more money? And once you get more money, what do you do with that money, right? Because if you know what to do with that money, like me, I get money every week because I work 2 jobs, and the money I have left over, I don't go and buy Nikes, right? I buy cryptos that pay me dividends, like, you know, like Ethereum, right? And I'm growing those portfolios. I'm building other stuff like my house in El Salvador, paying for another property. I'm doing stuff here in my house. You know, I'm investing in my garden. You know, I'm gonna invest in a new chicken coop so that I can have my own fresh eggs off the garden, basically. And those little things help improve my life, right? My quality of food and therefore my quality of life. Not just that, but having chickens is so fun. And I have two greenhouses that I have bought with AC, with heating in the winter. Those are things that improve my life and are things that I love doing that do not require. It requires an investment, of course, but are things that make my life better in some ways, like producing my own vegetables, right? So I don't even know where I was going with this video, but I think it's because of Kundalini that I got to where I am, and I'm not rich by any means. I actually don't have a big portfolio right now. My portfolio is very small because I took all my crypto out of the crypto market, and now that Bitcoin dropped, I'm going back in, right? As you can see with me, PRDT positions, I'm buying other cryptos like Zipto. I'm holding some Zipto from Zipto wallet. I think it's a great crypto. I'm not promoting it. I really don't care what you do. I just felt like I needed to say this because a lot of people are waking up and they don't know where to start. They don't know if they should live this reality, right, by suiciding themselves, or why the world is so shitty, and the world is in a way becoming dystopian, but I think we still have time to stop it. They can only do so much before people start revolting. So we still have time. We just gotta learn how to use cash again. We gotta learn how to not care about certain things like brand clothing, like politicians, celebrities, right? My family's in there watching soccer right now. It's the FIFA World Cup. I think it's Argentina versus England, I think. And whoever wins from those two is gonna go against Spain, I think. I don't even know. I don't care. But that's the other thing, okay? You gotta lead by example, and by leading by example, you'll find your tribe. Like all these people, they know that I love crypto, that I do crypto, that I make money with crypto. Do they care? No, they don't give a fuck. I told them before I explained this to them, they don't give a fuck. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Especially about crypto, do not tell people to invest in crypto. Please don't. Especially your family, your friends, do not do it. If they ask, provide the information. Don't shill coins, tell them to go the Bitcoin route. If you want the main interest, tell them about the top 10 and don't shill any shitcoins. Please don't. I did a mistake. I did it. And these people don't care. Most people, 95% of people do not care about financial freedom. They don't even know what money is. They know that they go to work, they get a paycheck, and that's it. That's money for them. You work, you get money. That's it. Everything else is a scam. It's for the rich. It's it's like, just don't do it. I don't even know what this video is gonna be titled, but I think something along the lines of Kundalini and crypto. So I gotta go, guys. Peace out. Take care. And I'm just bored, so I figure I make this type of video. But the world runs with money. Therefore, your priorities should be to get money. Okay, so don't worry. Just play the game. It's just a game. You are a god, a limited god. In this plane, because being a god is boring. Imagine being a god and being able to do everything, and everything is there for you, and that must be boring. So now you're human, you cannot fly, you cannot just create stuff out of thin air, you have to work for it. So go get it. All right, peace out, guys. Take care.